السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the first lecture of Translation 2 course. In this lecture, we are going to talk about the translation as a process. We will discuss some basic definitions which you will need during this course. We'll talk about the Inter-Semitic translation, Interlingual Translation and Intra-Lingual Translation, and we'll learn what is the gist translation and Exergetic Translation. So today quote or quote of the day says that translation is not a matter of words only, it's a matter of making intelligible a whole culture. So starting with the basic definitions. So the text is any given stretch of speech or written. So it is very simple. And what is the source text and target text? The source text is the text requiring translation, and the target text, the text that is a translation of the source text. So it's very simple. If we are having a text written in Arabic, so the source text is Arabic and the target text is English. The source language and the target language are the same, but it is the language of the text, so the language in which the source text is spoken or written, and the target language is the language into which the source text is to be translated. So the strategy. Each translator has his own strategy or game plan, which consists of a set of strategy decisions taken after the initial reading of the source text, but before starting detailed translation. So when you are having a text between your hands, you have job to translate it. So first you decide what you are going to do, whether you will translate it literally or what type of translation you are going to translate. So the strategic decisions, or the first set of reasoned decisions taken by the translator. Let's move now to Inter-Semitic Translation. In fact, the translation between two Semitic systems. What we mean by Semitic is the Semitic system being used for communication as a science. For example, the green light means go. It is well known. It's an act of inter-Semitic translation. Like if we look at the sign here, which is the warning, or the correct signs, or like, or the cross sign, is an act of inter-Semitic translation. So to this extent, everyone is a translator of a sort. But be careful, some signs are not used in the same culture, so you have to be careful when you were talking about the intercultural communication. For example, this sign, what is shown here, so in UK and USA they use it for okay meaning. In Japan this sign means money. In Brazil it means insult, and Russia means zero. In Arabic we are having different interpretation for the same signs, so we can say it's okay, but sometimes we refer to as a wa'id, of I will kill you, or threatening someone. So that's the basic of inter-Semitic. By the way, the inter-Semitic or the Semitic have different things like icons, what we have showed here, or indexes, or symbols. So symbols like that, icon like this, international icons, or indexes is written by hand. So the intralingual translation, it actually take place within a single language and can involve rewording or paraphrasing or what we call as a gist translation. So for example, can you describe him or can you depict him? So when we translate or rephrase the words to make others understand, we call it intralingual translation. We shall use the term exegetic translation to denote a translation that explains and elaborates on the source text in this way. Exegesis is a critical explanation or interpretation of the text, especially religious texts. For example, let's take an example from our language. So if I ask someone, or a Muslim one, or an Arabic person, like the ayah from Al-Adiyat or Surah Al-Adiyat, tell him وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبْحًا فَالْمُرِيَاتِ قَدْحًا. So if you simply want to exegetic translation for this will be showing sparks from their legs or from the horse's legs, أو التي تري الشرارة من رجلها. العاديات كالحصان وهي الحصن التي تجري في الحرب، ضبحة في الصباح. So this is an important example for exegetic translation أو الترجمة التفسيرية. So in interlingual translation, which is translation between two languages, just as it's possible to have intralingual just as we said before, or exegetic translation, so it's possible to have an intralingual translation, like translation proper, which involve gist or exegesis. So in Arabic English translation that involve jesting are most likely to arise when the Arabic source text involve high degree of repetition of meaning or semantic repetition. Consider the following example. So when in Arabic, when we are having a lot of repetition, like this example, الشعر تعبير وتصوير لمشاعر الشعراء وأفكارهم، سواء كانت التجربة واقعية أو من نسج الخيال الشاعر. So here is we are having the literal translation, which is almost 75 words. Like for example, and in both cases, وفي كلتا الحالتين, the experience is true, because even if the experience is not real, so وكلتا الحالتين فإن التجربة صادقة، لأن حتى لو كانت التجربة غير واقعية أي خيالية، فإن الشاعر يعيش فيها مدة طويلة قبل أن ينظم شعره، يحس فيها بنبضات قلبه ويشعرها تسري في دمه. If we see an idiomatic translation, poetry is an expression of thoughts and feelings of the poet, whether experience be real or imaginary. So you can see how the idiomatic translation give the meaning within 42 words. So another important example of exegetic translation or exegetic in interlingual translation sorry, various degree can be found in Quran. We said before that the exegesis mainly especially in religious texts. So if we looking to, for example, Surah Al-Ikhlas by Rodwell or Al-Hilali and Khan and Turner, we'll find different translations. So the first one is written by Rodwell. So the verses are written here, as you know. قل هو الله أحد, the first verse. الله الصمد, the second. لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد is the last. So Rodwell translated by this: say, he is God alone, God the eternal, he is begetting not, and he is not begotten, and there is none like unto him. This is Rodwell. Look at the الهلالي and Khan. الهلالي and Khan added some exegetical elements, like say O Muhammad, adding O Muhammad. He is Allah, the one. Allahu Samad. Allahu Samad, transliterated of the word As-Samad, the self-sufficient master whom will creature needs. He neither eats nor drinks. He begets not, nor was he begotten, and there is none equal, comparable up to him. This is the translation of Hilal and Khan. So the last translation, which written by Turner, say, my God is one. The cosmos is a manifestation of his eternal names, for he is mirrored in all things in a most subtle manner, and he is free from all wanted and needs. So you can say قل الله أحد الله الصمد. So this is the translation of Allah الصمد. لم يلد ولم يولد. He goes not beget or produce anything, nor is he begotten or produced by anything. لم يلد ولم يولد. This is the translation by Turner of the third verse. And there is nothing in the whole of the cosmos that can be likened to him. ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. So Rodwell translation here can be regarded as having no exegetical elements. And the first one here, we don't have any exegetical elements or internal elements, or no interpretation. فيش ترجمة تفسيرية. But الهلالي and Khan includes an exegetical gloss like O Muhammad, and another gloss of O Samad, which is transliterate rather than translate. يعني wrote the names or كتب الاسم بدل ما انه ترجمه. And they translate كفوا as equal or comparable. So you can see here, it's equal or comparable unto him, which is arguably an exegetical expansion. So if we look at the Turner's translation, which I think it's the most obviously exegetical version of the translation. So that's all for the today lecture. In the next lecture, please go to Thinking Arabic Translation book, page 7, and read the tools of the trade. Thank you.